Hare Krishna everyone, we're continuing to read the Bhagavad Gita as it is, the book by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Chapter 2, Contents of the Gita summarized, Text 54. Arjuna uvacha Sthita pragyasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava Sthitadhi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak, and what is his language? How does he sit, and how does he walk? Purport. As there are symptoms for each and every man in terms of his particular situation, similarly one who is Krishna conscious has his particular nature, talking, walking, thinking, feeling, etc. As a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as a rich man, as a diseased man has his symptoms by which he is known as diseased, or as a learned man has his symptoms. So, a man in transcendental consciousness of Krishna has specific symptoms in various dealings. One can know his specific symptoms from the Bhagavad Gita. Most important is how the man in Krishna consciousness speaks. Okay. Interesting. I don't remember that. I remembered the fact that a fool is undiscovered as long as he doesn't speak. That I remember clearly. But the fact that Srila Prabhupada says that most important is how the man in Krishna consciousness speaks. That's really something to note. For speech is the most important quality of any man. That's a very, very serious statement. It is said that a fool is undiscovered as long as he does not speak. And certainly, a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. The immediate symptom of a Krishna-conscious man is that he speaks only of Krishna and of matters relating to him. Other symptoms then automatically follow, as stated below. Wow. Okay, text 55. Shri Bhagavan uvacha prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyevatmana tushta sthita pragyat tadochyate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from the mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Purport. The Bhagavatam affirms that any person who is fully in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord has all the good qualities of the great sages, whereas a person who is not so transcendentally situated has no good qualifications, because he is sure to be taking refuge in his own mental concoctions. The way it is said, taking refuge in one's own mental concoctions. Consequently, it is rightly said herein that one has to give up all kinds of sense desire manufactured by mental concoction. Artificially, such sense desires cannot be stopped. But if one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then automatically sense desires subside without extraneous efforts. Therefore, one has to engage himself in Krishna consciousness without hesitation. For this devotional service will instantly help one onto the platform of transcendental consciousness. The highly developed soul always remains satisfied in himself by realizing himself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. Such a transcendentally situated person has no sense desires resulting from petty materialism. Rather, he remains always happy in his natural position of eternally serving the Supreme Lord. Text 56. Dukeshvanu dvigyamana sukeshu vigata spriha vitaraga bhaya krodha stita dhirmo niruchyate. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. Sage of steady mind. Purport. The word Muni means one who can agitate his mind in various ways for mental speculation without coming to a factual conclusion. It is said that every Muni has a different angle of vision, and unless a Muni differs from other Munis, he cannot be called a Muni in the strict sense of the term. So everybody has to have their own opinions, their own angle of vision. Nasavrisher yasyamatam nabhinam. Mahabharat Vana Parva 313.117. But a Sthitadhir Muni, as mentioned herein by the Lord, is different from an ordinary Muni. The Sthitadhir Muni is always in Krishna consciousness, for he has exhausted all his business of creative speculation. He is called Prashanta Nishesha Manorathantara, Stotra Ratna 43, or one who has surpassed the stage of mental speculations and has come to the conclusion that Lord Shri Krishna, or Vasudeva, is everything. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. He is called a Muni, fixed in mind. Such a fully Krishna conscious person is not at all disturbed by the onslaughts of the threefold miseries, for he accepts all misery as the mercy of the Lord, thinking himself only worthy of more trouble due to his past misdeeds. And he sees that his miseries, by the grace of the Lord, are minimized to the lowest. Similarly, when he is happy, he gives credit to the Lord, thinking himself unworthy of the happiness. He realizes that it is due only to the Lord's grace that he is in such a comfortable situation. and able to render better service to the Lord. And for the service of the Lord, he is always daring and active and not influenced by attachment or aversion. Always daring and active. Attachment means accepting things for one's own sense gratification, and detachment is the absence of such sensual attachment. But one fixed in Krishna consciousness has neither attachment nor detachment, because his life is dedicated in the service of the Lord. Consequently, he is not at all angry even when his attempts are unsuccessful. Success or no success, a Krishna conscious person is always steady in his determination. Wow. Success or no success, a Krishna conscious person is always ready, steady, always steady in his determination. Text 57. Ya sarvatra nabhi snehas tat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya pragya pratishtita. In a material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Purport. There is always some upheaval in the material world, which may be good or evil. One who is not agitated by such material upheavals, who is unaffected by good and evil, is to be understood to be fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as one is in the material world, there is always the possibility of good and evil, because this world is full of duality. But one who is fixed in Krishna consciousness is not affected by good and evil, because he is simply concerned with Krishna, who is all good absolute. Such consciousness in Krishna situates one in a perfect, transcendental position called technically samadhi. Samadhi. Text 58. Yada samharate chayam kurmon ganiva sarvashah indriyanindriyarthebhyas tasya pragya pratishtita. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Purport. The test of a yogi, devotee, or self-realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. Most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. That is the answer to the question as to how the yogi is situated. The senses are compared to venomous snakes, venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi, or the devotee, must be very strong to control the serpents, like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots, some of them are do's. unless one is able to follow the do's and the do nots. Restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. Best example set herein is the tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up its senses and exhibit them again at any time for particular purposes. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious persons are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. Arjuna is being taught here to use his senses for the service of the Lord instead of for his own satisfaction. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord is the example set by the analogy of the tortoise, who keeps the senses within. Text 59. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But seizing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. A higher taste, param drishtva nivartate, very important. Basically, spiritual life you can only advance in spiritual life if you have higher taste, and that higher taste takes you further. In my experience. Purport: unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of edibles. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for edibles. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga yoga in the matter of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, etc. is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. I remembered one example that Bhaktivedanta Maharaj would give. He would say that imagine the highest level of sense enjoyment in this planet, on this earth. Meaning being King Yudhishthir, the king of the entire Bharatvarsha, the king of this planet. Okay? It's only a fraction, or it's like, I forgot the exact mathematical thingies, but it's like 100 times or 1,000 times lesser than heavenly planets. Heavenly planets is 1,000 times or 1,000 times better than here. And that level of enjoyment is millions of times lesser than the enjoyment of impersonal liberation when you merge into the Brahman effulgence. And that ocean of so-called bliss of merging into Brahmajyoti is like only a fraction of a portion of a drop of the bliss that you experience in bhakti, from the ocean of bhakti, love of Godhead. So when you see this gradation, that, what we consider here sense enjoyment, what we hold on to and what we try to grasp and put all of our life endeavors into, it's technically nothing, especially considering that we are not this body and we are a particle of the Supreme, we are spirit souls, and we're actually, it's not enough for us actually. So when you look at it in comparison, and then just like it was established that when you have that param drishtva, when you have that higher taste, you actually don't really feel like doing anything lesser, because you've got something better. And this is what actually spiritual advancement in actuality is supposed to be like. Jai. So glad we established that. We will consider. Oh yeah, 1 second. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we will continue tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The link to this book is in the description. Please check out our website, shravanamdiaries.com, and we shall see you. Hare Krishna.